One, two, three, four. We've
been friends
most of our lives. I had a couple of kids.
I've had a couple of wives. We'll
We
talk,
talk about the shit
we think we know.
know.
Back and smile. It's a Spike and Cat show.
There you go. All right, check it out. Awesome technology. Hey, welcome to the Spike and Cat Show, a live episode. Look at us, Cat. We got the technology going. How are you, Cat?
I'm great. How are you, man?
Good.
How are you? Are we actually Is this actually recording? Are you sure? Are you sure?
As far as I know, and I think it's going out on the internet right now too, onto YouTube. So we'll find out soon enough. And Kat, it's been a minute since we did this. So we got Cody in the background, everybody. Cody's running the show for us nowadays, and we are super pumped. We have tonight as a very special guest, as I scratch my shoulder, very special guest from long time ago and far, far away, Thaddeus. Check it out for those of us who know. Thaddeus, how are you, dude?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Can you hear us, dude?
I can hear you fine. It's nice to see you guys.
How are you, dude?
Hey, Dad. Good to see you, dude.
So Thaddeus, you've come up as a topic on the Spike and Cat Show a number of times. I'm not sure how aware you are of that, or if you want to have your lawyers contact us. but so just to go back, I'm trying to think. So we've all known. So Kat and I have known each other since fifth grade or whatever, forever. Thaddeus and I are related, so we've known each other since inception, vaguely or whatever. And so you guys knew each other in high school, right, Thad? Via me, but then you guys lived together in Minneapolis. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Yep. I feel like we probably would have even met. Like, I feel like there was a time when I was maybe even younger, but definitely when we were seniors in high school, we hung out with you, and then the Twin Cities. Yeah.
So the Thaddeus, that house in Bushnell, how would you describe that? Because I have the story of stories related to that house, but how would you describe the house in Bushnell, South Dakota?
As far as just
space and all that stuff, what was the house? Kind of give people a physical description of the house, because it matters.
It was pretty small, just a 1-bedroom place, and kind of just a bungalow type of a place, and nice for just a college guy or two, or whatever.
And so what would that have been like? Vaguely early 90s, mid 90s, or early 90s, right, Kat? What year would that have been?
Yeah.
So this house is it's really close to Boone's house, right? So Boone's been a subject on the Spike and Cat Show also from time to time, because just for different things. And actually Boone's been part of some of the stuff we've been recording on YouTube and stuff. But anyways, so Boone lives down the road a little bit. And just out of curiosity, so Thad and I had an evening one night where we were all kicking it with Kat, and we had come up with a plan of basically Kat's brother lived in Brookings, right, Kat? And if Kat didn't, if we didn't see him at a certain part of the night,
are we telling the visiting the South Dakota state story? Are we telling that?
No, well, you tell the story. You say what happened.
No. You're telling it already now.
Well,
by the way, the show is just pretty much, if you can't tell that, we just talk about Spike's family members. That's what the show is about.
In a way. Well, at any rate, so what ended up happening this particular night is we end up finding ourselves missing Kat, and Kat ended up sleeping that night in a coat rack in the lobby. Is that right, Kat?
Yeah, it was on the top of the coat rack. Thank goodness, because I think they came into the coat rack area. I was on the top of the coat rack with some coats over me, sleeping.
So Boone comes busting in, and Thad and I are sleeping in this one room of this cabin house or whatever. And Boone comes busting in at it had to be 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "Wake the fuck up, up, you stupid asses. Your buddy's busted. The cops came in, they're looking for him and shit. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, he was in the bathroom puking and all this shit. We're like, what are we supposed to do? And he's like, well, he's at the fucking cop shop. Go get him. And we're like, well, we can't get him right now. So we fell back asleep and we woke up the next morning. And Thad and I are like, hey, fuck, do you remember when Boone came in last night?
Instant classic.
And so we go ask if we can use this phone to call, and we call like the sheriff's office, and we call, we called everything short of the morgue, and it turns out that where did you end up going that night? So
I ended up going to where my brother lived, to the house he lived in, and I broke into the house, and then ended up his roommate let me into his bedroom because my brother was gone. So let me into my brother's bedroom, and I ended up sleeping in there. You ended up getting a hold of me on the phone. You figured out what the number was. I don't know how, but you ended up getting hold of me on the phone. I remember the phone ringing, and the answer, you were like, holy shit, like you were like out trying to be all pissed, and I was like, dude, I don't know what like happened, man. I made it back here. I remember I was passing out in the lobby, and the woman was like, you can't go to sleep out here. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm not trying to go to sleep. I'm waiting for a taxi. Waiting for my friend. I ended up getting a taxi. Oh man.
Well, dude, we lived through it. Hey, little trivia. So that night, do you know who the comedian was that Boone introduced us to? Do you remember, Thad? We're standing there. Do you remember who the comedian was? Just by curiosity.
Gary Mule Deer. Yeah.
Gary Mule Deer. So
seems like a long time ago.
Crazy. So he's a big friend of David Letterman's and stuff. So Gary Mule Deer is like. Have you ever seen his act, Kat? Do you remember his act at all?
Yeah, totally.
Like does a lot of Johnny Cash songs and does parody songs and all this stuff. He's actually a really talented musician.
Yeah, super talented musician.
He was nice because it was funny that night. Boone goes, hey, Gary, this is my little brother Spike, and he's interested in comedy, and you got any tips for him and shit? And he goes, stay the fuck out of comedy. I'm like, really? It's a dog-eat-dog world, man. He's like, I'm in Brookings, South Dakota right now. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. It's a hell of a... But anyways, do you remember that? Oh, he was a nice guy for what I remember. But, yeah, so... Thaddeus, you write tunes, and you and Kat shared a lot of times together as far as music goes. And before we got all the technology rocking here, you were talking about Kat's plethora of music, right? So one of the questions I wanted to ask was, how would you describe Kat's sensibilities of music? Kat, I'd like to hear the same from you if you wouldn't mind. But also, what song do you or artist remember Colin most influencing you? Love you, buddy.
That's a tough question. He has such an immense collection, and for what I do, for my writing, I'm all about just staying inspired with what I'm listening to, what I'm reading. If I'm on something that bores me, I got to keep on moving until something. There's so much great music that I haven't discovered yet. But Colin had and go in every different direction, everything from the box set of Bob Marley to a lot of U2 stuff that I hadn't heard, and Black Crowes, and then just going off in all kinds of different directions from there. It's nice having a chance to be around and somebody as knowledgeable as him. I mean, to be able to talk about the artists and the history of it and stuff was really, really cool.
Do you remember him pulling out the deep tracks of Donovan?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where did you ever come across Donovan, Kat?
Old Donovan. That's some old music from Bender days in college. Listening to that stuff with old Bender, and we'd be smoking that good old Sodak swag, man. That was getting on that Donovan song. Atlantis. Whoa, man, you hear that song? You hear that Atlantis song? Yeah, man. Good old Donovan.
What would people know of Donovan? What's a
Mellow Yellow? They would definitely know. Oh, Hey, look, they would
Hey,
definitely.
Cody found a picture of Gary Mule Deal for us.
They would definitely know.
Hold on. He's kicking some ass. So, yep.
They would definitely know Mellow Yellow. They would probably know maybe Season of the Witch. What other one? He had a couple other really
Okay,
popular ones.
Sunshine Superman.
Oh yeah, Sunshine Superman. There
How
we
did
go. They'd
Sunshine
probably know that.
Superman go? Mellow Yellow's like, they call me Mellow Yellow.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
there it
it.
is. Cody's got it rocking for us.
Hey.
That's Gary Mule Deer, everyone.
Gary Mule showed up.
And he does have a little bit of a Johnny Cash look and stuff. And he like I said, one of the cool things is that I'm a big David Letterman fan. Becky was a huge David Letterman fan, and Gary Mule Deer is one of his best friends, or one of his friends from back in the day. Cat, watch out! There's a gigantic cat about ready to eat you, dude.
No, seriously.
Dude, it's his game.
He has no manners. He has zero manners.
That's awesome, man. But anyways, so what was the song you said? Sunshine what?
Deep Donovan cuts. That's awesome. Sunshine Superman.
How's it go?
How does that go? Sunshine, say softly upon my.
Oh yeah. That's a great jam. You know who he always reminded me a little bit of, and I can't say I know a lot of his music, but Neil Diamond a little bit. To be honest with you, when I didn't know who the different ones were, because there's kind of a Sweet Caroline type of a little bit type of feel to it,
like the Neil Diamond of Bob Dylan's.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Because you liked all his writing, right? Wasn't it his lyrical content that you were so?
Oh, dude, he's got some lyrics he's got some stuff that is hilarious, some stuff that is just downright terrible, and some things that are just fun to listen to. I think at the most part, it was just super fun. Like, put it in like historical context, and then like listening to it, just like somewhat. But it's kind of one of those things like where it's some of the first music you listen to when you like were like experimenting with stuff, like smoking weed or whatever, like, you know, like when you listen to like something when you were, I don't know, doing whatever, and you're like, it's that memory. Donovan's there. Like, it's like it's just one of those bands that I'm like, oh yeah, you gotta listen to these songs by Donovan. Totally trippy.
That is a deep cut. So who would it be from Thad? So Thad, of course, has some pretty deep likes in music and literature and all that stuff, Kat. So vice versa, when you get together, who did you find yourself like, holy shit, Thaddeus knows some deep tracks on that?
Definitely. Like, I would say for sure, I would say this is gonna be super seem out of left field, but it's like so spot on to me. First of all, one thing I do want to say is that one thing that I really have always appreciated and respect about that is that, like you said, if there gets to the point to where like it's not something that's exciting or not something that's moving or grooving at that time, whatever, be a book, talking about films, a certain director, whatever it is, like once Thad's in that groove with that, like that's a different spot. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like that idea of riding the wave, right? You get the crest of it, right? And that's where you like to be. But then that's awesome. Oh, seriously, dude. No respect, dude. No respect. Got
What is
Dangerfield over here. No respect.
Cody's giving it. You better. Cody's loving it up. You know,
I'm really looking forward to comparing notes again, Kat, because we've listened to so much stuff since then, and I'm anxious to see, you know, what you've been up to lately. You know,
dude, I've got to pull it out though, and I'm gonna f it up because I'm not gonna remember the names of the albums because I can't, because it's like too much of a deep cut. Dude, I'm not kidding. I have never known anybody that went as deep as you did into the Bon Jovi collection. Like, we're talking late albums, but good. Dude, don't laugh, dude. I mean, well, you can laugh, but it's not meant to be funny. Like, actually, but that's the thing, though. That's what we're talking about, right?
Sure.
Like, it's that stuff where if you're not there listening to it and know that it exists, and not only that it exists, but like, that dude is a songwriter, man. I mean, there's a reason why he stayed as relevant as they did for as long as they did. Another one, of course, is like Pearl Jam, but that seems, And I'd say, you know what, their latest album's really damn good. Like, talk about a band that is still just killing it. Wow.
You know,
But really, I'd say at that time, like a song or like I'm trying to think of a song. Definitely like that Neil Young The Decade, like that Neil Young The Decade collection. I just remember all of us listening to that so much at that time that I think it resonates with me, and I think of you a lot with that, Thad. Like I actually think of you a lot when I listen to a lot of Neil Young. But yeah, like those three for sure. But yeah, the Bon Jovi deep cuts though, dude. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny either. Like you played.
No, I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that, man. But it's amazing the different, the stuff that I've listened to that I couldn't stand when I was young, and now I'm everything from jazz to blues. I really got into the old blues and just kind of every different direction, big band, and
Oh, nice.
You went through a really deep, like old school blues phase there for a minute. And it's funny though, because one of the commonalities that it seems like you guys are talking about is like musicians that just actually feel it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of probably been the one thing. Like Tom Waits always comes up as a common great artist. You know what I mean? Or people like that. And it's funny because he brought up a few shows ago, Thad. He brought up Devo and as like an '80s band, and it's funny because, I was even saying the other day, I heard an interview with Elvis. I got a thing with Elvis. I dig Elvis in some weird way. So, he's just funny and interesting, right? But he was a hell of an artist. And anyways, I heard an interview with him where he was being asked like, well, what do you think of, this was in the early 70s, and he was being asked about, what do you think of other artists or rock and roll right now? And he was just so cool about it. He was like, oh, hell, man, I think there's room for all kinds of music, and I like it all. It's all good and stuff. And I was just like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like I think at that time, there were probably a lot of the big stars that were poo-pooing a certain amount of what was going on in rock and roll in the late 60s. Did
he write one of his own songs? Did Elvis actually write one of his own songs?
You know what? I don't know. Did Frank Sinatra? I don't know.
I don't think Elvis did though. Which is probably why he did have a respect for. I mean, you think he would almost have to, right? Like, I guess he could have just been like, well, only listen to me. But at the same time, I mean, I guess, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
All suck, but they sound good. Well, and I remember being surprised that, do you remember who Jim Morrison said was his favorite singer, Thad?
Yes, I know Sinatra was one of them.
Sinatra, yeah. And I was like, no shit. But you can hear that because
you can totally hear that.
And before you know what I mean? He's got that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's cool as hell. And I think that was all kind of that cat's getting after you.
Seriously, dude.
What's that one's name again? Toonses?
Jack. Toonses. Yep, that's Toonses. My driver.
Yeah. It's so I think one of the things that we're trying to get going right now is to what are you writing down there, Cody? I can't. Elvis. So if people can't hear, Cody in the booth is saying that Elvis never wrote a single song. Oh, he's bringing it up as a graphic for us too. Elvis never wrote a single song, but he sang over 600 songs. So, here's a little piece of trivia for you on the Elvis tip, and then I'll get off of that. But do you know who or where Elvis had his last recorded performance? Right? That's what you think? Rapid City, South Dakota.
Really?
I'm not kidding. Yeah. If you look it up, Kelloland News recorded a bunch of it, and so there's like video on. And
wow.
Yeah, he's having a rough time towards the end of the show and stuff, but
wow.
There must have been something in that. Right? Yeah, 1977. He said June 21st, 1977 in Rapid. So that's wild to think.
Holy shit, I wonder if that went through his brain right at the end, like, God damn, the last show I did was in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Can we get out there and do Vegas?
Yeah.
one more. I don't care.
Okay.
Oh, then it was just like that was that.
Oh, hey, Cody, would you mind bringing in the graphic for our show sponsor? Kat and I, hey, Thad, I know you know that one of the things that keeps the, I don't know if you want to bring in the whole commercial though. Just can you bring in
Can we
the card?
cough now? Can we cough more? Is that not allowed? Is it allowed? Can we still cough? I touch my face more now than I ever have in my entire life.
Yeah, now that you're specifically not supposed to. Thad, I know you know that Kat and I have been working on the Spike and Cat show for years now, and I think the production quality shows up. And
Years,
part of where all this technology comes from is we have incredible show sponsors. And hey, oh yeah, Cody, you got to go down to a new layer down by your white card, I think, and push a plus sign there. This is behind the scenes jargon here. Oh, so I think it's on the drive though. But anyway, so Kat and Thad, I don't know if you could hear Cody there, but we're bringing up the show sponsor because what I was getting at, Thad, is this type of level of production, the satellite trucks, the legal team, the team of advisors, clearly the staff of writers, that all doesn't just pay for itself. And so what Thad and I did is what Kat and I decided to do is develop.
I knew this is what was going to happen. You see what's happening already?
What's that? What
It's already the Spike and Thad show. I knew it immediately.
We bring one guest in and Kat gets insecure.
Hey, when do I get paid?
Checks in the mail, dude. Checks in the mail.
I think that is how it works. So at any rate, if you say checks in the mail, it's in the mail. Oh, here
it's more than just that dude in the white van that we keep buying the internet cards from. It's more than just that one dude.
Yeah. So here it is, and that's the other thing, Kat or Thad, is that Kat and I have to pay for our internet. We have a special deal. There was a guy back behind Foley's Bar. He had a white van, and basically he was selling us gigabytes of internet space. Like he had them in kind of a Tupperware jar type of deal. And he told us, all you do is you go home and set this on your TV and look, we're able to do this shit. But the whole point is that it costs us a lot of money. So Cody's got it all queued up for us. And we're just so happy to show you guys. The show sponsor is, of course, cranial colon dislodge. And for people that aren't familiar, Kat, can you kind of describe a little bit about cranial colon dysplasia? You can see it there in the graphic and stuff, and maybe Cody can bring it up on a separate page for us so that people can really see. But tell us a little bit about cranial colon dysplasia, will you, Kat?
Oh, the problem or the disease that you need the cranial colon dislodge for. Yes. So what happens is, and it's happening a lot. Now it seems like it's been pretty nonstop. I think it's a pretty consistent thing, which is part of the reason why this product works so well. And like it says, it's probably right for you. And if it's not necessarily right for you, it's probably right for somebody that you know. And what cranial colon dysplasia is pretty much it's you or a person that you love's head is just clean up your ass, just right as you can see.
The only way you can say it. That's the science behind it.
And that's the science behind it. I think that actually is how they say it at NIH and some of the other big Mayo Clinic. I think that's what they say. But yeah, so there's this product that has been a sponsor of the show for a long time. And both Spike and I know a lot about it. And we've told Thaddeus about it in the past. So yeah, Spike, I don't know if you want to kick it back to you to.
So I mean, and the whole point of that is that we're not trying to make the whole show just all about buying products, because it's not all about buying products. It's about spreading wisdom about, early Bon Jovi cuts.
Well, I'm wondering if that could work for me.
It probably is, right? Hey, Cody, can you bring up the card for do any of these symptoms sound familiar, Thad? Whoops. Oh, just you can X out of that, Cody. And then the card's just the first one there. Sorry, we're doing technical behind the scenes there. On the first row, There you go. Yeah. So here's some of the symptoms you can expect, right? So Thad, does any of this sound familiar? A congested feeling, an unpleasant scent, and general confusion. Because if so, it probably is right for you. Do any of those are those kind of symptoms you might be going through or anything or
Indeed, yes, and then some.
well, you know what, Thad, as being a special guest on the Spike and Cat Show, we will be sending you out your very own year supply of cranial colon dislodge. And the nice thing is that how much is a year supply? That really depends on the person. So all you have to do is you give us a call and you let us know. But one thing we want to make sure and caution people about is it is a topical. It is a topical. So you're going to be tempted. You'll open up and smell that fresh cocoa butter scent that Cat demanded, and you'll get jamming on it, and you'll be thinking this tastes terrible, as I did, and then you'll read it and you'll realize it's a topical. But that's when you really know it's truly right for you too. So, well,
you went like what, half a loaf of bread, Spike, with it before you realized that it wasn't before with the.
Well, I did, and I thought, well, the cocoa butter scent kind of numbs it out a little bit, but it's, and the more water you drink, you'd swear it was almost like it was coating your esophagus, and the water was just going straight down your stomach. You know what I mean? I shit through a screen door for 3.5 weeks, but I'll tell you what, bro, it helped me remember cranial colon dislodge was right for me. And so, I guess what I would like to propose is let's see how well we did here. I'm sure everybody on the internet is probably fascinated by everything we shared here. But Thad, would you consider coming back as a guest of the Spike and Cat Show?
If I get paid for this one, I will.
Okay, check is in the mail. Cat said he runs the accounting.
Check's in the mail.
So, hey Cody, could you bring back up cranial colon dislodge one more time? I wonder if that's possible, because. Again, the show.
Is it okay? Can we cough anymore? That's an outstanding question that I have. Are we allowed to cough anymore?
Yep. So again. Anything else that you'd like to share with the world, Thad, on your first appearance here on the Spike and Cat Show?
No, thanks, fellas, for having me on, and I enjoy listening to your other episodes, and I'm looking forward to continuing to compare notes and see what you guys have been up to lately.
Well, when it'd be fun to listen through on some of your songs next time. Cody and I've been working on the technology to get it to play through, and. Kat, is there anything you'd like to say with Thaddeus? Any airing of grievances or anything that you've been holding on to for the last 15 years?
No, I would actually love to hear some music as well. It's been great to catch back up. It's been too long. As always, it seems to get to be that way. So this has been great. I've really liked it.
Hey, and on that note, Thaddeus, if you don't mind me saying, Kat, where can people hear some of your music on? Is it on YouTube or what? Where could people check your stuff out at?
It is on just ThaddeusJohnson.com. It's on there.
So yeah, ThaddeusJohnson.com. That's a website with some tunes on it, and then you've also then if people wanted to listen to your music on YouTube, what would they look up under?
Shoot, you know what? It's been a while since I've been on there, man. I would have to look again. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Would it be like Thaddeus Johnson or? Probably something like that, I suppose.
I would say it's right at the top there. There's not too many of them.
What song, if you were going to point somebody in a direction of a song to listen to, just to start off with a cut of a Thad Johnson song, what song might you suggest if they were going to check it out on YouTube?
I really like I was listening to Wanderlust the other day, or Fast Food Crow.
Okay.
Are a couple that are off the top of my head.
So Wanderlust and Fast Food Crow by Thaddeus Johnson. Kat, next time we're going to have to make sure this was kind of a test run for us, everyone in the audience, to make sure we had the technology dialed in. So hopefully you were able to hear all the pleasant tones and Cat coughing and all that shit. So.
Get some.
Oh, what did he say? Was he really? Was he really? You know what? Don't even get me started on Jay Trobeck because
Wow.
he's a local news celebrity. But Gus got bitter when Joan expressed that she thought he was handsome. So,
Oh, Jesus.
good old Lukey.
The last thing I would want is to be like not even conscious of the fact that you're on Gus's like bad side. So, so you didn't even do nothing to get there. You're like, what? What'd I do?
That's awesome. Well,
that's awesome. So, dude, for sure though, to the listeners out there, like definitely grab some cranial colon dislodge. It's probably right for you. If it's not right for you, it's right for a family member or a friend. Definitely make sure that you rub a little on and get everything free and make sure your head's out of your ass when you pull up those songs by Thaddeus and listen to them. Check those out. And, it's been great, Thad. It's been really good to see you, man.
Yeah, love you, dude.
Thanks, Cody, for being behind the scenes.
Yeah, way to kick it, Cody. I love you, dudes. Thanks. And Cody, you want to cue up our theme song? We can't let people miss out on the theme song. So love you, dudes. Peace and love. All right.
Peace and love, man.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We've been friends
most of our lives. I had a couple of kids.
I've had a couple of wives. We'll talk about the shit we think we know. Sit back and smile. It's a Spike and Cat show.
1, 2, 3,